Welcome, everyone, to an amazing event today with Educators in VR with our Immersive Education team. My name is Laurel. I am the co-founder and the director of Educators in VR. We are a membership organization that is dedicated to teaching teachers about how to teach in VR and all the things related to it. And today's topic with the amazing Craig Scott is going to blow your mind on teaching welding in VR. So you're ready? Let's get going. Craig, it's all you.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. My name's Craig Scott, as Laurel said.
And also the ones that are behind health and safety.
Okay.
So we work with them on these problems.
Okay.
There you go.
All right,
okay.
There. Okay, thank you. Beat me to it. Thank you.
Okay, let's start again. Okay. One thing I will say is sporadically, I do welcome questions. I welcome questions. Otherwise, it's just me talking. And laughs are allowed as well. Okay, so a little bit about me. I think born in a place called Birmingham,
Richard,
in England.
just
so
came
I'm
into
English, but I was raised in a lovely place called Lake Vyrnwy in Wales. There's a picture of the place. Very nice.
Everybody.
So I spent the first 24 years in Wales, so I can speak Welsh should the need arise. But guess what? It doesn't. I worked about the first 22 years manual labour jobs, and then one day I seen someone in the factory welding, and I thought, wow, that looks cooler than what I do. They get paid more than I do. I want a piece of that. So very briefly, I put myself through welding school in the evenings, paid for it myself, and completed a level 1 introduction to MIG welding, and I was proud. So then I started applying for welding jobs. Got the opportunity to go for a weld test, which, in case you don't know, a weld test is probably the most pressurized thing you can do if you're a welder, because you want that job. You've got to prove that you can weld. So from memory, in my mind, when I performed my weld test, my first ever weld under pressure looked like this. Now that's what's in my mind. As you can see, smooth, straight, not bad at all. But it was quite a long time ago. So memory can play tricks, but in reality, it probably looked more like that. But for whatever reason, I got the job as a welder, and I was a welder for about 15 years. Really enjoyed it, but I thought, you know what? I want something else. I want to make the move into education, into teaching welding, because I really thought I had something to offer. So I applied for a job to work at a place called Riverside College. There you go. That's me there.
What?
That's when I first started. That was in, I think it was around 2019.
No, I can't hear you.
And if you can see the distinct lack of wrinkles, at least compared to now, can anyone have a guess what BTC stands for?
He keeps. I told him where to stand.
Let me tell you, that's before 3 children. So
he keeps walking back away from it. So,
I look the same now, but with about 40,000 more wrinkles. Okay, next slide. Right, so here we are. This is Riverside College, Widnes and Runcorn. It's an outstanding college, so we've been given outstanding status by Ofsted, which is our kind of
is that what you were talking about?
Of all colleges in the UK. I've been there 5 years, but however, let me take you back to when I first started. I started teaching the traditional way.
Okay, just come off to the side and hit him at an angle.
Next slide.
Damn it.
So the traditional way of teaching
changed
is
all the things
usually,
that he talked
this is a
about
great
during
example of what it is in a college. You've got 15 welding bays and 1 tutor, okay? Now, you go into each bay, you maybe give a demonstration, you advise, but then you've got to move on to the next bay, and so on and so on and so on, and you keep going and going, and you end up, the gif I always refer to is the one of Forrest Gump running, because you're going from bay to bay, and it's a very frustrating time. So the biggest enemy as a welding tutor, traditionally, I'll say that word again, is, next slide, time. It's time. You've got all these students and not enough time. You're given a snippet of information here, there. And we know what it's like when you're trying to learn in a pressurized environment. You can maybe take some information on, not all that you need. It's a tough gig for both students and tutor. However, I've been there maybe a month or so. Next slide. And someone said to me, Did you know that our college has previously, before you got here, invested £120,000 in welding VR machines? Now, because I was a man over 40, I am still a man, by the way, but I was a man over 40, my initial reaction
Lordy, that
what
was
can
horrible.
VR possibly teach me? Right? I knew nothing about VR at all. However, I thought, why don't I give it a go? What's the worst that can happen? So I spent a few weeks, made sure no one was watching me because of my previous voiced thoughts about what VR can possibly teach me, and found that it was unbelievable what these machines were. Next slide. I'll go on to explain how they work, and you'll see a video of what you see. However, I did a cost analysis before we see what you see, a cost analysis which shows the following: a normal 2-hour welding lesson. So that's including shielding gas, electricity, heating, everything, the consumables, everything you can possibly think of, cost the college £220. Incidentally, that's with 3mm steel. If it was with 6mm steel, which sometimes it can, it goes up to 290. Either way, it's a lot of money. We have 7 classes per week. And I did a cost analysis with the VR machines. Now, the only usage there was the kilowatt hours of the machines. £5.50, 15 per lesson, which is £36 a week for the 7 classes. So financially, it's a no-brainer. Next slide, please. Now, this was just to reinforce what my feelings were when I experienced what it can do and why it works so well. It blew my mind. Next slide.
Yes, so stupid.
Okay, this is how I initially set them up.
All right, get ready for the
they're quite
video.
bulky
Not yet.
machines.
Get close for the first video.
These machines are probably about 10 years old now, so they've come on a bit now. But these sturdy machines you see there, you've got your virtual welding mask, and you'll see that in a video in a bit. You've got your machine. You've got the monitor, which other people in the room can see, including the tutor. However, let's move to the next slide and let's see what, hopefully, this is what you need to be looking out for, because not everyone knows what you see through a welding mask, let alone a virtual welding mask. So it uses visual cues.
It's coming up.
Now stay on this slide for a second. I just want to summarize that visual cues with these are they're pretty much binary. They're usually amongst welding tutors. It's very subjective. It's very subjective. Each welding tutor has his own opinion and thinks that every other welding tutor's opinion is wrong. It varies. However, what I like about these machines is they've had so much money put into R&D, so they know what the correct parameters are. So what we're looking out for there is you can see 2 indicators there.
So you
on
can
the
take mine
side,
completely
actually
over,
in the
right?
center you see the red arrow.
Okay.
That's something
which I have it all prepped and
that's
ready.
called
As soon as I'm supposed to, I'm going to hit the play button.
So that really means how far away or how close you are to the
This is supposed to be video
welding.
1.
The other one, the little the one where the arrow is pointing to the green, that's speed of travel. Now, anybody who's taught welding or maybe even welded themselves will understand that the 2 most important variables of how far away you are or how close, but importantly, how fast or slow you're going. Essentially your speed of travel. So you get these visual cues, and it will vary, as you'll see in the video, going from red, amber, green. Okay, so let's see an example of somebody using one of the Vertex. So that's the name. The Vertex is the virtual reality welding machines. Here we go.
And then the next link, get ready.
That's what we see as a tutor.
Yep, it's playing.
Oh, for me, it's still loading.
His mask. There you go. That chap is actually quite a well-renowned chap in the world of
next video.
And he was amazed by what it can do. So we've seen what it looks like from
Just
our
let me
point
know
of view.
when.
However, what I want to show you next is what you see inside the mask. You've seen a little view of it there, but imagine that you're immersed into it here. Here we go. Yeah.
Is it playing?
Yes.
Okay. And then you can retake it back over.
Okay. So you're literally guided. Yes, someone had the hand up there. No, no, okay. So you're guided by your visual cues. So whilst that's well and good, bear in mind I teach 16 to 18-year-olds. Sometimes their attention can vary a little. The real beauty, which gains, which increases the speed of learning, is the interesting part is the middle, the left-hand side arrow, which shows you the parameters. The red line in the middle is the perfect parameter, and the other ones is where the parameters vary a little. However, everybody who uses this is drawn to the final score. It's broken down into positions, all these variables. We don't run all the variables at the same time, otherwise you'll be there all day. But ultimately, everyone's drawn to that score. I guess you could call it gamification, but the competitiveness that's stirred amongst these students. Everybody wants to do not only better than their last go, but also better than their friend and their colleague. So it's almost as if they're learning by accident, which is fantastic. Oh, next slide, please. There you go. And this is the last score was 82. This is 87. So it's basically someone's second go. So ultimately, what I do to try and summarize this, and what I do, so we stay in there for maybe 4 or 5 nights or
1 or 2
lessons,
slides left, I think,
and then
we're moving
on to the real world. And so it's less of a shock for them.
Oh, no, we've got a bunch of
going
quotes,
from zero
and then we're going to move
to
out
a big, noisy, spark-filled welding bay. So it's hugely advantageous. Let me give you something, a quote. I think it's a quote next slide. Here we go. Great quote from a coherent, wonderful adult learner. I've enjoyed the VR machines, the repeatability with consistent monitoring, allowing me to vary my technique almost instantly, has been very rewarding, with the whole group seeing a massive improvement in such a short space of time. That's really good. Or, to put it another way, as a full-time student puts it, I was shit at welding before that VR thing. Equally as coherent, and the point still remains. Okay, next slide. Okay, and finally, this is my last slide before I take you outside to show you something else, some models. But this is wonderful. I'm a fan of David Hay, and a former boxing world heavyweight champion of the world anyway, but I thought this was brilliant, and it, for me, epitomizes, yes, the VR welding machines I use, but also practicing anything in VR. It isn't practice makes perfect, it's perfect practice makes perfect. Final word on that would be, subjectively, or a subjective opinion on what's good and what's bad doesn't really get you anywhere, or it takes a long time to get there. But if you use these parameters that the Vertex show you, you will get there, and you'll get there in double quick time and enjoy doing it. So that's my slides. Laurel, should we ask for any questions, or should we get straight to the exciting part?
Well, does anyone have any questions about what they've just seen? Yeah, then we get to the fun part.
Yeah, welcome them.
So when you've got some questions over there. So Mark, I think
VR moved very quickly in terms of development, really. So how old is the Vertex machine? And if at Vertex 1, will there be a Vertex 2?
Great question, Mark. Really good question. Those machines you've seen there, I think actually, specifically, they're about 12 years old. However, whilst the graphics may have improved quite a bit, they were ahead of their time, to be fair to them, but the graphics have improved. Not a lot has changed, really. The hardware's got a lot smaller, but really that means nothing to me and the method of learning, if that makes sense. Parameters are still parameters, which I like. I think, Craig, did you?
Okay, who else?
Yep.
Craig.
So,
hey, Craig.
Any chance in the industry that there'll be greater emphasis put on the summative clinical use of these, or not clinical, but like right now you're using them as formative practice, which is amazing. And then you said, and then we go to the real world welding. There are so many other industries, Craig Scott, that are also grappling with this. I've talked to people, oil changes. They've got the VR oil change simulator, but the automotive industry still says, you know what, you still have to go to the real world and prove yourself. Nursing, we're now seeing more and more nurses using VR sim, but at the end of the day, they still have to go to the hospital and prove themselves. How's that for you? Is it just going to always be a formative tool?
Yeah, really good question. I'll answer that in two parts. There's a very forward-thinking professor of welding at Cranfield University. He's a great friend of mine, Graham Barrais, and he's really took this on board, and he believes, and James Bell, forgive me, a welding inspector called James Bell, who are convinced that they could get people to pass a weld test after spending X amount of time on one of these. My own thoughts are, whilst that is possible, definitely, and it would be a great PR coup. No, you will always need the traditional, but the pain point in teaching welding is going from zero to learning and understanding how to weld. It's a huge pain point that takes time and money. For me, the biggest one is time. So I hope that answers your question, but I'll just add to that one little point, is that it's still difficult, even though I shout and scream on LinkedIn about how great it is. A lot of people are adopted it, but perhaps it's like with any other industry, there's a lot of pushback because, and get ready for the quote I'm sure you've all heard, it isn't like real life. I hear it all the time. But yeah, no, it's wonderful. I think if you're smart, you'd utilize it. I hope that helps.
And that's what I loved about you showing the price of it, because that's also a big pushback. Is it's just too expensive now. $120K for the machines, yes, but the utilities and all the rest of that, that's a constant thing. And welding sucks a lot of electricity, so that was brilliant. And I love that you can make many mistakes and many attempts to get it right without wasting material.
Well, the final point on that, and I know we're a bit pushed for time, Laurel, but just final point on that is the repeatability. It's incredible because in the real world, again, to summarize, in the real world, once you've done your weld, you have to go at the welding bay, go and get some more steel. You'll see boxes of steel later. Come back, maybe you'll chat to your friend on the way. It's just so slow. Where with these, they're prompted. You press one button, press go, repeat. It's a teacher's dream.
I love that. All right. Are we ready to go outside? We'll take more questions out there. You got your first snapshot ready to go?
Yeah.
You ready? All right, everyone, follow. Sorry to walk through, y'all. Come on.
Okay. So, Mark,
and I'd like to also, yes, Mark. Well, you talk. So Craig, you talk about the photogrammetry classes and stuff really quick, please.
Okay. All right. Well, this is, as you can see, a 3D model of me welding. Wouldn't have been possible, just like all these models, if it wasn't for Mark Jeffcock's photogrammetry with phones class that I attended with you guys here. Absolutely brilliant class, and it's just brought me on so much with 3D models. Go on, Laurel or Mark, if you want to say anything. Come and have a look. Feel free to come and get a close look.
I definitely want a close look, but no, you go ahead, Craig. Let think welding.
Yeah, no, it's really, really good. I'll be honest with you as well, Mark. I'm not going to be so bold as to say a world first, but I've never seen another 3D scan of someone actually welding before. Yeah, when you planted that seed, Mark, in this brilliant class on this brilliant platform, including Brilliant Engage, if Thomas is still here, this is one of the first things that I thought this has to happen. So I've seen someone put their head through my body there. Very good. All right. So in addition to showing you how I use VR in education with welding, I'm just going to give you a quick insight into weld defects.
About the third or fourth
so I'm going to load my
snapshot, we're going to start deleting the first one so that we can leave some up. But we're going to start cleaning up his mess behind.
All right.
Second snapshot.
All right, Rachel's taking the car and heading out to the garden. Japanese garden.
Okay.
She's visiting her friend then. That's when he could do it and we couldn't.
Okay.
Load.
I'm going to change the slides.
If you can all just pop over to here for a second.
Damn it.
Come and get close. We'll visit thereafter. come over here. Okay. Hi, Adrian. Okay. So these are exemplars of good welds.
1, 2.
Not great, but
1,
good.
2.
And if you can see, they're just a smooth, straight line, relatively smooth, relatively straight, which is fine. Okay. And this is done from mostly a decent contact tick to work distance, as well as that. And I must have said this phrase a million times, a consistent speed of travel. Just one more element on that, and I'll talk all night, so Riley, you'll have to jump in if I'm over talking here. A consistent speed of travel, either moving from right to left or left to right, is the most difficult thing there is in welding, really. Everybody thinks that they're able to do it smooth and consistently, but gosh, it's hard. So my first defect, so we've got the good ones to look at, what a good weld is. My first defect I'm going to briefly tell you about is distortion. If you look at these are called T fillets. Clues in the name of the T, obviously. On the left-hand side, we have a T fillet before it's welded. You've got maybe a tack weld here, which is a small piece of weld.
How are you doing with it?
On the other side, but you can see that it's still at 90 degrees. However, if you want to come around this side, or I'll move out the way so you can get there, after welding, all the heat input, there's 3 welds on that one side that you can see there. It's deformed and distorted the T. It's pulled it over.
Oh, that's right. You weren't at the rehearsals.
So heat input or excessive heat input can really make a difference to the shape of something that you're about to weld. Interestingly, I wouldn't mind any questions on this, but I just want to play a brief video, which it was done from a thermal camera from a company called Topdon, who've allowed me to use their thermal imaging cameras, which actually welded one of the pieces that you'll see.
Okay, the video screen has the machines in it.
Tonight. So I'm just going to bring it in. If you want to look at the screen, I'm going to play a thermal imaging video. There we go. So this is me. The temperatures aren't accurate because they're maxed out. But this is a butt weld that you'll see shortly. 2 pieces of steel with a gap in between. There you go. Look at that heat. Wow, wow, wow. There you go. Now I've got heat-proof gloves here, so that's the only reason I'm able to do that. There you go. So that's an insight. An insight into the heat that goes into these things and how long that heat stays in there. So any questions on distortion before I bring the next weld defect in?
So how do you prevent distortion?
Great question. Who was that? Hey, Carl? Kurt, great question. Many ways, and I'm glad you've asked that question, but one would be to use clamps to clamp that steel or material down so it can't move. The disadvantage of that is there's inherent stresses in that weld that always stay in there, so it can be a little bit brittle. Another one would be to preheat the steel. I could to do a whole lesson on that, which is essentially heat the steel up to X temperature, so that it's not such a shock, so to speak, to actually when you are welding it. And the same as post heat. You've welded it, and then you can slowly, artificially lower the heat. That's two of them. Good question. Now, my favourite weld defect, which I'm going to bring in now, is. Let me bring this in. Here we go. Don't ask me what's my favourite one.
He has the video screen tied into.
Okay.
That second.
We'll go to the white model. Can we see that? Is that okay? If you want to gather around, you come closer. It's okay because I need you to see. I need you to see the text. Come close. It's okay. So, in a nutshell,
we have a bit of an issue. He's not sharing them.
You'll see on the left-hand side.
Hold on.
The solidified metal. Because as you're welding, as that metal is creating a weld, it's actually a liquid. So it turns from liquid into a solid, as you can see there. But solidified metal, molten weld metal. So when it turns from a liquid into a solid, it needs to be shielded by shielding gas. The reason for that, as the text would say, so it protects from atmospheric contamination. So oxygen, nitrogen, and hydrogen, they're all, if the shielding gas isn't performing its role as shielding, then the gases become trapped in the weld. And if you want to come over here and have a look what that looks like, on the left-hand side here is the weld that you've seen with the thermal imaging, or a slice of it. And on the right, and I'd really like you to get up close to this weld here, if you could, on the right-hand side. Try and have a look at those. I want to say bubbles. There you go.
So while people are taking a really close look at it, could you share each of the snapshots that you just brought in, please, Craig?
Share.
You forgot to share them. Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
And that'll give people time to take a look and see all these amazing photogrammetry and photographs are just beautiful.
At least the rest of, I've just changed the settings, so the rest of them will be shared now, Laurel.
Thank you. Thank you.
Previous. No, you're welcome. Now, let me show you a video. If you want to look at the video, let me show you how porosity happens. So porosity can be, so we know it's shielding gas that helps protect the weld. However, what changes things? Well, one thing that changes things
he has
is if
it
you
set
use
up
your
so anything else he
extraction,
brings in will be shared, but the
because
past
welding fume can give you lung
even
damage
as host,
over a long
we can't
period
get
of time.
to it.
Use something called extraction.
No,
extraction
he still will
pipers, you'll
have
see in the
to
video.
share it.
But in this video, I've placed it deliberately too close, so that it is in effect not only drawing the fumes away, but it's also drawing the shielding gas away. I've done this in slow motion.
We did.
Here we go.
I wish I could message him.
I know. They really need to add that.
There we go. So that big hood that you see is drawing away, yes, the fumes, but also the shielding gas. There you go. Okay. I think we're done. Okay. Keep an eye. Hang on, Kurt. I love your question, but keep an eye on that welding bay that you see there. That's a college welding bay. We may or may not come back to that. Yes, Kurt.
All right. Okay. Before you do it,
Oh, sorry.
Hold on a second. Before you get to your question, what you've done is you set so the future stuff will be shared. We need to have access to the 3 you've just laid down. Sorry. So while you're answering the question, if you could do that. All right, Kurt, your question, please.
Have you ever done soldering?
Soldering, many years ago. I compare it.
And using things like flux and all that stuff. And I just didn't know.
Yeah. No, that's right. Let me just try and make these. Do you want me to ungroup them, Laurel? I'm not sure how to share ones I've already laid down. Would it be ungroup?
Yeah, the ones. Yeah, you hit the little, I don't care if you group or ungroup, but just need to make sure they're shared. That'll allow us to control those. Thanks. So what we're doing is, just for those of you that are not familiar with what's going on behind the scenes, is that each one of these snapshots is a bit of a heavy load. So we need to have access to remove some of them. So as he's going along, make sure that you take time to look at these really closely, because they're going to be going away in just a few minutes. So take that time to explore. Get some screenshots, whatever you need. All right.
There you go.
Thank you, Craig.
I've done 2 of them. You're welcome.
Beautiful.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, what I'd like you to do when you leave here is to be able to identify at least what the difference between a good weld and a bad weld. Now, the joke in the trade of welders and welding tutors is that welders like nothing more than pointing out people's bad welds, and unfortunately it's the same for me when I go for a walk with my children. My daughter once said to me, Daddy, why don't you ever show welds
when he brings in the next one?
Which was a very good point. So
can you get to the one in the
identify
center?
So we're going to bring in,
I'm trying to figure out which one it is.
Here we go.
Good disk and screen.
No, porosity.
So it's probably
no,
this
it's
one.
not. Nope, it's not porosity.
There we go. Can we see the Welding Hall of Fame
and screen.
here?
Snapshot C C4G.
Did we say we had,
if you can get rid of that.
Who's from New York here? How many we got from America here?
So
okay, get rid of that one. Snap
I bought these two in
C4B.
specifically for you. I thought you'd love the.
it will get rid of the screen too, unless I ungroup
No,
it.
the screen. Okay, I don't. We can always
Any
bring in the
thoughts?
screen again.
Okay. Delete. Okay, I will quickly bring it.
Looks great.
What do you think?
Looks great.
Yeah.
They look good
Pretty
to
cool,
me.
isn't it, Kurt?
How do you get those colors?
What causes
well, I
that?
don't.
The rainbow
But no-
coloring.
Yeah, really good question. It's down, effectively, it's down to heat input. So how long or how fast or how many times they've heated. That's actually not done with the welding process that you've seen. I think it was Kurt mentioned, or me and Kurt spoke about TIG welding, which is where you hold a welder in one hand and a rod in the other. And that's what
I've
those
got
are
a
made of. But
million
they are so
Discord
cool,
messages.
But if you look at the others,
Because
we're learning as we're going
you
about
two
how
are
smooth and steady
busting
and
my
a
beautiful
consistent
Discord
speed of travel
layout
look.
by leaving chats. Just
So,
ignore them.
We've seen the Hall of Fame.
Damn it.
I
So by
haven't
the
left
same
any of
token,
them.
Yeah, you did. You left one that I just looked
Why
at.
don't we have a look at?
Oh.
Matthew, just ignore them, delete them, whatever you want.
Hall of Fame there, and we should.
Well, to delete them, it
Oh,
still
my
kicks
God.
you out.
Yeah,
Here
but
we
it's
go,
messing up.
loading in. The Hall of
You are
Shame.
leaving groups DMs on Discord. You're exiting them.
Any thoughts from anyone? Kurt, Mark.
And it's just messing up everything for me because I have
I'm shocked.
Well, which is
screwing up my whole order.
Is this your
Anyway,
work?
just
this your
delete
work?
them or ignore them.
Thanks for that. It's probably the weld on my first ever weld test, I would say.
All right.
Which one do we think is worse?
Do it on
there?
weekends.
Because I've
Do
got
it on
my eye
weekends when I'm
one.
not paying attention. But when I'm in the middle
The
of trying
one
to
on the top,
preserve a conversation, it's
the top
messing
left
everything up.
looks really bad.
Top. I was thinking the same.
It makes me crazy.
Top
Should be
right
like
isn't
an
far
etiquette
behind,
rule.
I would argue. Okay, all right. Very good. I don't know what happened top left. I could probably describe to most of them there, but the top left is yeah, not sure.
When they look
I'll
like
just-
that, do they hold at all?
Okay.
Do they
Yes, they do. They do, and they could probably withstand us breaking it by hand, using a hand or a knee or something like that. But anything structural, sadly. I will say at this point that my friend, who is also a welding tutor, said that since looking at the welds we call it Alton Towers, so theme parks, or I'm not sure what you call it in other parts of the world, he's never gone on a roller coaster since. So I'll leave that one hanging for you.
Oh God.
I know, but you see, I've almost ruined it now because you all know what's a good weld and a bad weld. So you'll hopefully you'll be looking for one now.
I'll definitely be checking that.
Please do, please. It's good. Even on walks with your partner, or your children or your dog, you're drawn to them. Let me bring in we've only got a couple more screenshots, but I think you might like this one. Okay. So only for a bit of fun, I'd like you to go and have a close look. So if you want to see what a welding machine or a real welding mask looks like, if you haven't seen them before, there we go. They're not life size, but feel free to come and get up close. I would argue that the yellow one is probably most realistic. I think that might be a scan actually. Yeah. Okay. All right. So something I'd like to do whilst we're having a good look at these is not everybody can afford, so I don't know if we could work it out earlier, but that £120,000 was for 5 Vertex welding machines. So not everyone can afford that. However, I've had a lot of experience with welding apps. Just I use my Quest 3, so I can only speak for them, and I've had some really, really, really good experiences. However, let me share with you what up to this point I've seen is the best app you can get. So, Can we see the video? I'm gonna play a quick
you ready
promo
with the
video from, admittedly, from the people who make this.
I don't know where you've put
the
screen.
So forgive me for the music, but I'll let you see what sort of things it does, and then give you a quick recap on what my thoughts are on the pros and cons.
Follow the Hall of
So it's called, imaginatively
Shame.
titled. It's called
And look to the right.
Weld VR.
Okay.
Here we go. It's only about 30 seconds, so I'm just going to load it and play.
All right. Holy shit! Can you turn it down? Oh my god, it broke my eardrums.
I don't hear anything. Nothing wants to load, but I did my best. Hopefully it counted.
No, it's still deafening.
Well, then I can't turn it down then.
Jesus. I've got my audio now down to 30 and I can hardly hear it. I mean, I can hardly hear you. And it's still blasting my eardrums out. Oh.
Okay, that's a really good app.
Oh my
and the
God.
ability to learn such things as I keep banging on about, speed of travel, etc. To be able to do that in anywhere that you are, at home or wherever, it's phenomenal for me. It's also got haptic feedback, which helps tremendously, and post feedback report, which is really super. However, let me bring in what I would determine as the pros and cons of that. Here we go. And one of them might surprise you, sadly. Okay, haptic feedback is fantastic. You can adjust the welding level from beginner to advanced, so you can make that progress. The guides and post-weld reports,
you can get
equally useful.
Oh, you did already.
And the replay
Excellent,
mode, where you can, we have this with the Vertex as well, but considering this is just an app, you can replay all the time the weld that you've done and view it from any angle you want. Now, it's an interesting one. The cons, it's the welding. I'll come to the cost lastly, the welding level increments. So what I mean by that is you can adjust. Let me go and stand here and try to explain to you. So I'm in my kitchen now, for example. So you can adjust your table to here, or 10 centimeters lower, or 10 centimeters higher, and so on. But there's no in between. So for me, I'd like to put it on my kitchen table where that isn't possible. I could do it either below my kitchen table or above my kitchen table. So that's only something which I'm sure they'll improve with the next app or the next version of it. But let me tell you about the cost. So it could be viewed as expensive, but it depends what you want. If you want a game, something to play on, well, there's loads of apps for about £10 or $10 out there. But if you want the best one out there, you've got to pay for it, just like anything. But this app really impressed me. Okay. Now I'm going to stand here so I can talk to you all. I've only got 2 more snapshots. We're doing all right for time. We're absolutely bang on time. 2 more snapshots to bring in. But before any questions on the app or anything like that, what I'd like from you, at least one of you, is to have, you can't really call it a selfie if someone else takes the photo, I guess, but I'm going to bring in 2 snapshots now, and I'd find it a lot of fun if some of you want to have photos in front of the next 2 snapshots. But have you got any questions at this point? No? Feel free to.
Is it possible to learn well enough on an app to be able to take it into real life and do it there one-on-one, or would you still have to do some other kind of training before you could actually start?
It's a great question. And what I would say to that, I've thought long and hard about this, is that whilst my VR, the Lincoln Electric VR welding machines, can get you to a place where probably pass a weld test, which would be my standard. Probably.
10
I don't
minutes
think you could get there with an app, but you could absolutely go and pleasantly surprise the tutor or educator. As I say, this jump from 0 to actually learning how to weld is huge. Anything from then onwards is relatively simple because you're just improving the basics. So I hope that answers your question. So probably not, but it'll get you a damn sight closer than not using the app. Okay. Yes.
I guess it's more like learning the theory because in real life, like for example with the MIG torch, you've got the torch and the cable dragging behind you, and the cable can snag on something if you're not careful. I've got a 400 amp TIG torch that's water cooled, and I had a small lady welding. I had to get a little TIG torch for her because she physically couldn't hold on to that 400 amp torch. It was just too big and too heavy. So there's there's the theory, but then in real life, you've got all kinds of other things.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And this is a comment I hear a lot. And whilst you've chosen the most extreme, as you say, the very heavy 400 amp, I'd say the norm isn't that. We're always going to have the extremes where VR can't get you where you need to be. But my point has been the pain point and the time consuming, the expensive and the slow learning process. It kind of eliminates them all. They're making moves now. The Vertex machines, the ones that I use, they're welding torches. It's called a welding torch. It's the gun or whatever you want to prefer to call it. I wish there's a better name. They're not heavy. They're really light, and it's such a good point. But the next iteration of the Vertex machines, they're weighted and they're heavy. So again, you're making those incremental moves into really recreating what it's like. Okay. Now, this next snapshot is what I would call, in my opinion, an educator's dream. I hope it won't crash everything because it is a little bit heavy. Here we go.
Okay, did you kill the last one?
There we go.
Good.
Come
and
have a look at these.
Boy.
So this is a scan of one of my Lincoln Electric Vertex VR welding machines, replicated. And I would love for you all, if there's enough, or we've got too many people to, the only thing I'd ask for you is, would you mind standing me on there so I can take a snapshot of this, because I think it looks super cool.
All right, everybody, get on a machine.
Yeah.
Just walk into it. You should be able to walk into it and sit on the seat. And I'm going to get some pictures.
Wow.
Yeah, so get on board.
Do you stand behind it?
You just walk into the machine. You can walk right into it because there's no colliders on it. And so ride a machine. Just walk right onto the seat. So the trick is to look down until you are over the seat, and then you can, yay. All right. Now look up at me. All right, we're gonna get several pictures here. All right, yay. And those of you in VR can raise your hands. That's even cooler. Yay, or send up emojis. Yay. All right, that's one. And hang on. And here's two. Come on in. Beautiful. Yay! Well done. We'll be sharing those on our Discord and our social media. So those are wonderful. Thank you, everyone. How fun.
Last one. We'll make it quick. Now, remember the welding bay that you've seen in the slow motion video?
I'll do that during Tom's.
Mark, I don't want to embarrass you, but hats off to you, sir, because you helped me. Let me bring this in. Okay, so welding bay. Okay, if you want to look at the big model of me welding to the right of it, there you go. Feel free to go and stand in that welding bay. You can stand there. You can see. Remember I said about the steel that you have to go and pick up? That's here.
You want to kill the machines or?
Mark, learn these skills from you, my friend.
It's still loading for me, but I'm going to go ahead
probably a bit.
And
it's not quite like
go and open up participant now.
Thank you. I told him you'd be ready at 5 minutes.
Final question before I know I've talked a lot tonight, but final question.
Thank you.
What do we think?
Rough day.
What do we think is stored in here?
But
especially with the internet doing that.
Yeah.
Probably CO2.
I mean, it's still going a little bit slow, but
yeah.
Did you turn on and off the one upstairs?
I did.
Can someone help me? I don't know how to share.
Yes. It's still going slow though.
Who is that? Is it Emily?
It got right.
No, I'm new. I don't know what I'm doing.
It's okay.
Where?
Laurel, can we help her?
Okay. I'm sorry. My team is.
As soon as I leave, a troll appears.
Okay, to teleport. Are you in a? Is that Emily? Were you trying to teleport? Looks like you just did.
Oh yeah, no. I was going to say you hold the A button, and then you should see the little pointer come up, and then you should be able to teleport. Whoever was saying that they couldn't.
Great. That's exactly what I was going to say. I just want to know who it was.
You just did it.
First of all, you press the Y button.
Yeah. All right. Beautiful. Thank you, Emily.
Okay.
You should come train for us.
And
Wonderful.
if you end up just coming across, so now if you can use your control stick on your left hand.
Yeah, there you
Sorry,
go. And
cool, awesome.
Evelyn is the one. So just look down at your controllers, and it'll tell you what it does. All right, welcome. Come on by. Okay.
Interesting.
Craig.
Yeah.
This was amazing. Are we ready for some questions? Because we have just 5 minutes left.
Yeah. Welcome them. Please
and well
do.
done.
Thank you.
I would like to know how many students have been through your program with VR so far.
Good God. Multiple hundreds. And I know quite a few of them. Quite a few of them who've actually gone on to be welders as well, which is very rewarding. Tony, I think you're
wonderful.
Yeah, Tony.
Oh, well, Tony, we're not hearing you. If you want to message me on Discord, and I'll pass it on. We're not hearing your microphone.
Else?
Okay, how about now? Got me now?
Now we can. Yes. Yeah, Tony.
Thanks, Craig. Super awesome content.
What the heck?
Really liked being part of it. I wanted to ask about
an unexpected error happened while trying to join session. Please try
again. It means somebody
offer trials or extended trials or
so try again.
Any sort of
set the second time or first
time to sort of get a college to buy into it.
The first time of me trying to open the
okay.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Brilliant, absolutely. Yes
Every
to
time
all of the above.
Start,
I can't
you may have to close out of engage and try it again.
I know the guys who've made it and I've spoken with them at length, and that's how I got to use it actually, was with a free trial period. Just like most things in life, Tony, everything's negotiable.
Appreciate that, thanks.
Okay, close it engage.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else?
Let Tom know.
Thank you.
No, could I ask? Sorry, just to preempt any more questions. I know we're almost out of time, Laurel. Nora, could I have a photo with you next to the welding blade, please? Because Nora is very proficient in Engage, and she's stuck me on quite a wonderful Christmas VR experience in June this year.
Yay, Nora!
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi.
That's all right.
You want to come next to the next machine, and I'll take your picture? With Craig?
Okay. Yeah.
Come on over here.
Yeah.
Next to Craig, and we'll take your picture.
And Craig, oh, there you go. She's coming. That's okay. It's okay.
There you go. Come on over. Yeah. Come on over here. All right. And then we'll take your picture. And does anyone else have any questions? Because I have a few. All right. There's one. And let me take a second one. Hold on, because I like making sure nobody blinks. All right, beautiful. Thank you. You know, even in VR, you get closed eyes. You get that blink. Okay, questions. All right, Mark is asking.
Okay. Burudar. That's all the Welsh I remember. And are Weld VR or anybody else looking at mixed reality? Because I was thinking about the problem you've stated. You've got to move to real life. Because I could imagine moving to real life in your welding station, but not with any electricity or gas on.
Are you
having that bit simulated, you're picking up the real machine.
You can let them know to pop in as soon as possible, so I don't crash.
I would say it's halfway there. And whilst I've talked at great length about Lincoln Electric's Vertex machines, which is the ones that I use, there is a company called I can't remember right now, but they do augmented reality welding machines, which are equally, I would say, phenomenal. It's not quite what you say, Mark. What they provide is a bit like the Vertex is hardware, but you can actually see, just like augmented reality, as you're saying, you can actually see what you're doing as opposed to being totally immersed. So it's not quite what you're saying, but I understand that surely will be the next leap.
Yeah, thanks. I was thinking of the equivalent where there's a good mixed reality piano teaching lesson where you use your own piano, but it's full of sending you messages, say, press that key,
Yeah, that's good. That's good. One for the future. Okay. I think are we done?
Damn it.
Oh, well, very good.
All right. We're basically done.
Please tell me I didn't crash.
Craig,
She went
if
quiet.
you would like
I
to
hope he comes in here
and answer any questions, I and my team have to jump out to the next event, but you are welcome to stay and answer questions.
I don't know.
And whoever's the last one out, make sure you turn off the lights. And so, Craig, when you leave, you can hit exit the event, close the event for everyone. And I want to thank everyone for being here for this. The next event is with Tom Nichols. It's starting right now on the Matter with Things, looking at the neuroscience of the brain, how it's working, and how we interpret the real world and the virtual. And then right after that is our creative writing. And get ready for Cyberbullying Month is coming up all in October, and it is so exciting. So I'm going to jump out, but Craig, you can stay as long as you want, as long as you can.
Brilliant.
Thanks, you.
Laurel.
Well done. And I'll be uploading all the